Okay, good morning. This is Jen and Bunny. Hello, it's me, Bunny. Yay! Okay, Bunny, you sit over there and be quiet, please. And we are going to try to do a tutorial because we were asked to show how we put a page together. And, I'm not sure that this is going to work out because I don't really have a way I put a page together. I just keep trying things until there's something that clicks and it tells me it's good or it's fine or it will make me happy or whatever. Before I started that, I wanted to show you these little these are like little tiles I made, and they have glossy accents on them. The back is made out of different things. This one happened to be a piece of, it's like that styrofoam board stuff or something. These things, however, I found at the dollar store, which I don't know if everybody has a dollar store, but everything there is, ta-da, $1. And I found that in the kids' toy section, and it was in a game box. Hold on a minute, I'm getting something off the floor. Okay, here we go. In the game was this little packet of circles and squares so the kids could play the game. On the back, there are pieces that are supposed to look like chess pieces, and then the other side is blank, and you can see they're very, very thin. The nice thing about that is it's not going to add a lot of thickness to your book or your card or whatever you plan on doing with them. So anyway, the teeny tiny pictures that Tim Holtz has are so small that they really, let me see if I can get that in focus. There we go. They really, really aren't good for anything because they're so tiny. It's like, what are you going to do with them? Well, here is something you can do with them. You can put them on these little things and then cover them with glossy accents. Here is the bottle of glossy accents, and they make really cute little, just something extra to add to a page. Here's some I did. These are like, some people use Scrabble tiles, and they're kind of thick, and they add more bulk to your page. But I made, I just stamped on paper and did a bunny one. I have a lot of them made. They're just cute and something extra to add to a page. Nothing, they're nothing fancy, but they are very fun to make because they go very quickly. All you have to do is get a tile and find a picture. It can be anything, and then let me see if I can find a blank tile here, and I will show you what I mean. Well, that's really good. I don't... Hold on a minute. I'm getting something off of the floor again. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I'm just going to take a couple of these tiles out of this bag, and then I can show you what I'm talking about. But what I find is it's always nice to have a little bit of a background of some kind because you don't know exactly what you're going to do with these things. And I usually pick the front side instead of the side that's got the chess piece thing on it, so that if you do something light colored or whatever, it's not going to show through on the back. So, you just got to look around for something that, I look for something that, I don't know, I think is cool or that would look good or that's interesting, something like that. You can even get something and, here's a little tiny piece of music. I save all these little bits and pieces because they are really good for something like this. And you can just decide what side you want. This is my, right here, this is my homemade Mod Podge. It is Elmer's glue mixed with a little bit of water. So, you know, you put the little thing on there, and there you go. Oh, there you go. Okay. And then just take a pair of scissors or whatever, cut the excess off around the edges. And, okay. Now we have a little square with music paper on it. This is my go-to thing, which happens to be Vintage Photo Tim Holtz ink. And I put this on pretty much everything. I like the dark style. What I have also found is you can take pattern paper. I have a lot of old patterns, and if you take some pattern paper and glue it down, you know, and paint over it, it will give you a nice coffee dyed look without actually doing the coffee dyeing. So, let's see here. Now you gotta find a picture that you like, something to go on this. Let's see. Here's a stamp that I got from somebody. I think I got that from Angel in Vienna. And it's an actual canceled stamp. And I'm just going to tear the excess off around the edges until it fits in my square the way I want it to. I want to try and save some of that postmark because I think that looks cool. So I'm going to put some Mod Podge on the square here. And this is why my fingers are always messy. And then stick this on. And you can kind of, if you look through the light, you know, you can see what you're going to have on the square. Or you can turn it around and, you know, look at the back and see if it's lined up the way you want. And then you just clip off the back, the extra. And in this case, I didn't really need to put the music paper down because the stamp picture that I picked takes, you know, the whole thing. So, you know, it pretty much covers the whole square and you're not going to see the stuff behind it. But I will still take this and I will, you know, there we go. Put ink on it. So I like that. I think that looks cool. And, you know, you can add more if you want. You can add a little lace if you want. But I like it the way it is. And then what you do is you just take your glossy accents and you pour it over here. Just go all around and it will be thick and it will be very wet. And then you just let this sit. I usually give it 24 hours. I let it sit somewhere overnight where it won't be bothered. You can take a straight pin and make sure there's no air bubbles in it. And then in the morning, or whatever, you have a little tile like this that you can put, I think maybe my lighting isn't so good. I don't know. Anyway, you've got a little tile that you can use to put in your in your book, in your journal. Okay. Another thing I was going to show you is, you know, this all went much better when it was just in my mind. Now that I'm actually trying to get things in focus and trying to make sense and trying to show you something, everything seems all screwed up. But that's just the way it is in my head all the time. So, but these are really good for getting rid of a lot of tiny pieces of leftovers. And they just make something a little bit different to put in your book. I did not come up with this idea. I don't know who did. I've seen it done before, but I don't, so I'm not taking credit for this. I don't know who came up with that. Also, we have, sometimes you get these little tiny cards, like playing cards, and somebody sent me some, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with that? Well, you can do the same thing with these cards that you do like with the tiles. I mean, I don't put the glossy accents on them, but I find a small picture. These are also good for that Tim Holtz stuff. And I always usually make it so that there is a little holding place on the back for a quote or a little card or something. I learned that trick from Michelle Mulligan because that's what she did when we had a swap one time on Junk Journal Junkies. And she had it so that every one of her cards would hold a tuck spot for something, and I thought that was such a cute idea. So I use that all the time in my cards. So you can make those small cards into the same thing like a big card. I mean, if you have, I like to do the cards because they're cheap. They're just playing cards. And then when I do, like a book. Usually when I make my books for my bunnies, like I'll take 2 playing cards and then I put space in the middle and fill that in with cardboard, and then I have, an actual book that has a little bit of height to it so I can get a couple signatures in there. But, then that makes my little small book. And that's pretty cool. I like that too. So, then, Bunny, how you doing? I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Okay, Bunny. This also, when I say that I don't have a plan, I really don't have a plan. A lot of times when I make a book or something, I start out with some kind of either dictionary paper or, some kind of a background that I'm going to find interesting. This came from an old book, and it's like I got travel and vacation time. There's a whole bunch of stuff inside this book. It's very, like old paper. I don't know how old it is. A lot of times I like to wad up my paper like this and open it up like this, and then I like to take my my ink and run it like over the paper so that when the places that you fold it up or wad it up, they will catch the ink and make it look like, I don't know, seams or whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you'll see when I hold this up. So, like, the little places that you, where it was folded, it makes a different look. And, I like the way that looks. So, I would take some of this and just go ahead and cover my page. This is just an 8.5 by 11, folded piece of paper. So then I would take my page and put ink, or not ink, Mod Podge, my homemade Mod Podge, and this stuff works just as well as Mod Podge, and it is like super, super cheap because it's just Elmer's glue and some water. So you put that down, you figure out where you want this to fit. I'm usually a little more careful because, like I said, I save everything. So if I'm not sure, you know, what I'm going to do exactly, then I like to save as much of the paper as I can. So I'll put it more over to one side or the other so that I'm not, you know, losing a whole bunch. And sometimes I will fold the sides and actually tear them off so that so it doesn't have such a rigid cut look, because I like it when it looks more raggedy. But for the sake of time, I will go ahead and just use scissors. I also have a Tim Holtz tool that allows me to make the edges raggedy if I want. So here is your first, you know, part of the page. You got a piece of paper that looks kind of beat up, and then let me see. Here's my Tim Holtz tool, and I'll take this and just rough up the edges a little bit. It's going to be hard because this is wet. I'm probably going to have to wait until, until this dries a little bit. This isn't going to work. So, anyway, then you got to figure out what you're, you know, a lot of times I'll get out a stack of pictures. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm not sure what I want to say. And so I will just, like, lay a bunch of stuff out and try and figure it out. Oh, another thing. Don't you love the way I go back and forth? These playing cards are a great fit also for these Tim Holtz people. He's got bigger, and then I don't even know. There's like a whole bunch of different sizes. But like these are so small. And then you get these really, really microscopic ones that are so tiny, and it's like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with those? So, you know, these do fit on those tiny cards and those little tiles that I made. Okay, enough of that. So, then I get a picture, and actually this picture is from Corinne Yates, and this is a picture of somebody in her family from a long time ago, and I think it's, oh, so cute. So, anyway, this is a scan of one of her pictures, which she said I could use. So, you know, I never put things straight on a page because, I don't know, I think it's a little more interesting if you don't. I also do a lot of sewing, so, you know, but I can't really show you that while we're videotaping, so, I would just, you know, like, if I want to leave, well, first of all, I would have to put the background in. So sometimes, like, lace doesn't usually go very well, in my opinion, with a masculine type picture, but I think, like, crochet stuff does. I don't know, but this is so light that I probably need something with some color in it. I have this old, it's like a tea towel thing. It's got a blue line down it that somebody embroidered. I'm gonna take this and do a little cut and pull it. I never cut fabric, I just pull it because I like the rugged edges. And you can see on the outside edge, they did something with, I guess it's crochet. I don't do crochet, but there's a little edge piece that has like crochet on it, and then it's got the blue line. The other design is cut off. So, I would probably lay this down somehow just to show some of the blue and some of the cut edge. I would probably also take, this is my, this is my tissue paper, and from like a pattern, and I love this stuff because it's cheap. You can go to the thrift store and get like 10 patterns for $0.25, and you can just, like, I'm gonna paint my glue stuff on top of this first page that I laid down, and then, so it doesn't matter how you do it, you just slop it on there, and then you take a part of the pattern. You can take a part either with words and seams or without it, doesn't really matter. And then you lay it down on your paper and kind of straighten it out a little bit, get some of the wrinkles out. I like some of the wrinkles, so I'm not real careful with that. And then just take your scissors again and cut loosely around the edges. I hope that I'm staying in frame with this, because when I start crafting, hours go by and it's like I'm on my own little world, and I don't really think about anything else or think about the fact that I'm trying to do this on camera. So, there's that, and then you can take your glue and, make the parts that are sticking up, the parts that are wrinkled, kind of lay down. So, anyway, that gives it a nice kind of old paper look, like it's been coffee dyed, when it hasn't. And this picture I will take and definitely put ink around the edges too, just to make it stand out. And then, if I want to leave, like a space for our journaling spot, I will also think about doing that. And there's a lot of things, you gotta kind of plan for, because if you just take everything and start letting it go, then you don't know, you'll end up with a page that's got the whole thing covered or sewn down, and you haven't saved space for a journaling area. So, I also would probably put, I like a lot of layers, and I take a lot of doilies like this, and I tear them up and just take pieces of them because I like the way they look. And let's see here. I'll just give it a little more ink around the edges. And then, I don't know, over here maybe. And then when I put the picture on, no, I don't like that. Put it down a little bit more so that there is something coming out of the side of the picture. There's some interest there besides just looking at, the plain paper. But it's not enough. It's not what I want. So then I will probably go to something like music paper. I use a lot of bits and pieces, and that is why everywhere in my room I have so many little pieces of leftover paper, because I use them all the time for different things. And I usually don't cut my paper either. I usually fold it and then I just tear it, because I don't want it to look manufactured. Like, I don't want it to look like it's supposed to be that way. I want it to look like something that's so old and it's been around for so long and the paper's been torn by somebody along the way. I think that leads to the air of antiquity, so that it looks, looks older. So, and I would also take my ink around here and darken that up around the edges. And then I would probably stick this underneath that little bit of underneath this little bit of doily. Just, I don't know, I just like layering things until it gives it, it's not really a look, it's more like a feeling. It's just like, I can't be finished with something until it feels like it's done to me, and that sounds really crazy. But that's the only way that I can explain it. It has to feel right, and I don't know how to tell you anything better than that. This is too long, so I'm going to get rid of that. Pull a little bit of this off. And I will probably put this like maybe up here somehow. I don't want it to go over on this side, because I'm going to leave this open so that you could use it for a tuck spot. So in that case, a lot of this stuff would have to go on the same side. And probably, something like this. And then I would sew it, and I would go around and sew on 3 sides and then leave this side open as a tuck spot. The fun part then, in my opinion, is when you start embellishing. And like, you can take so many things, like paper clips, safety pins. They have all kinds of charms and keys, and I like putting all that stuff on there. So I have, like, let me see, this handy dandy little thing that it's like an organizer thing. It's got a whole bunch of different compartments, and each compartment has different stuff in it. So when you get get stuff out, and then like you could put like a safety pin here with another little piece of fabric, and then you could hang a key on it. This, I'm just basically showing you what I do. I don't know if this is what you want or not, but that's the best I can do to explain to you how I do my pages, because it's not the way it looks, it's more like a feeling that I get. So anyway, we are going to get off of here now and let you guys go be creative. And Bunny wants to say goodbye. Goodbye, dear friends. This is Bunny saying goodbye, dear friends. Bunny, you are an original. You are a work of art. Okay, you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. I love you all. Bye.